Kitty, oh, almost knocked my brioche off the counter. Today's Claire Recreates is a cookie called Mallomars. I just learned kind of only a Northeast thing, so sorry for anyone who's never heard of them, but they're kind of great and I'm really excited to eat one and it's been a while. Poor Ringo. It's okay, Kitty. Do you want to get on your perch? I truly cannot remember the first time I had a Mallomar. I must have been much older because I don't think this would have been available where I grew up in the Midwest, because it's like much more of a northeast thing, but I definitely like knew and heard of them. The name is kind of fun. They were familiar. I don't like have a specific history with them. I just know that I really like them. The last time I had one, I couldn't tell you. It's been years. The reality is that I'm always baking and recipe testing. So I was like, I'm not like buying store-bought cookies to have around for sweets because we just have it around anyway. It says Mallomars were created by Nabisco in 1913 and first sold to a grocer in West Hoboken, New Jersey. The metropolitan New York City area boasts the most loyal Mallomars fans. More than 70% of all Mallomars sales are generated in the shadow of the Big Apple. So tri-state area treat. But it's basically the variation on the classic s'more combination. It's like a graham cracker base, a marshmallow filling, coated in chocolate. And the size too, the size is like very satisfying. They're like 2-bite cookies. Super smooth. There's a sort of like matte finish, very, very slight sheen. I'm already thinking about like tempering chocolate for this. Part of the pleasure of eating a Mallomar is the way that the like thin coating of chocolate kind of yields to the soft marshmallow underneath. Did you hear that? It was like a little crack through the chocolate. So light. Honestly, this holds up. These are delightful. The marshmallow is so pillowy. The graham cracker is nothing to write home about. It's pretty crumbly. Actually, you know what? I always assumed it was a graham cracker because of the s'more thing. I don't actually know that it is. It doesn't look like it by the color. It could just be like something shortbready. Pretty good. Like delicious. I could eat a couple of these. The diameter of the coated cookie is about 4 centimeters. And now let's do the height. I'm gonna cut it in half. Chocolate really does have a nice snap. Kind of impressed at the snap. So there's the cross section. The cookie itself, 5 millimeters thick. The marshmallow, which is about 13 millimeters tall, plus 2 millimeters of coating top and bottom equals 2 centimeters. The overall weight is 13 grams. The overall diameter of the marshmallow is the same as the cookie, but it sort of has like a waist where it indents a little bit between like where the marshmallow meets the cookie. So ingredients: sweet chocolate coating, parentheses, sugar, chocolate, cocoa butter, chocolate processed with alkali, soy lecithin, close parentheses, unbleached enriched flour, parentheses, wheat flour, niacin, reduced to iron, thiamine mononitrate, vitamin B1, riboflavin, vitamin B2, folic acid, close parentheses, sugar, high fructose corn syrup, invert sugar, soybean and or canola oil, water, palm oil, gelatin, leavening, parentheses, baking soda, calcium phosphate, close parentheses, salt, soy lecithin, artificial flavor. It's not actually technically graham cracker because, well, it just says wheat flour. A graham cracker is like a whole wheat, like a non-white flour, 100% whole wheat, kind of like biscuit or cookie. So the first thing I think I want to do is the cookie. That's the only part that's really baked. Marshmallow, like topper, basically. Assemble cookies, tempered chocolate, and enrobe. I have a recipe in What's for Dessert for a really nice graham cracker cookie. So I think that's where I'm going to start. I might fool around with the proportion of flour and actually have it be maybe equal parts whole wheat and white flour. Sugar, definitely gonna be needing this. And it has honey, but I think I'm gonna omit it. I don't wanna make it so Grammy. I still have some whole wheat flour from Barton Springs, and I'm just gonna use a hand mixer for this. I wanna make this cookie with the creaming method of creaming butter and sugar together because that's going to incorporate a lot of air. The whole thing is very light. You can do things like substitute some cornstarch for the flour for making the cookie really tender, which, am I out? Here, do we have any other cornstarch?
None I'm aware of, no.
Yeah, and I just went through the whole pantry. Well, scratch the cornstarch plan. There's another trick for making really, really tender cookies. There's a style of sablé, which is a French cookie, that's known for its tender, crumbly texture, where you incorporate a sieved egg yolk, a sieved hard-boiled egg yolk into the dough. and it works really well. And actually I had said I was gonna hard boil some eggs for lunch, so maybe I'll hard boil some eggs. For a hard boil, if you have room temp eggs going into boiling water, because there's a lot of different methods for hard boiling eggs, will be like a 10-minute egg. I'm gonna use this timer because my oven timer is already going. Oh, is this gonna be annoying because of the noise?
Yep.
Yeah? Is it gonna be weird if I pull out a tray of pretzels in the background? They look really good. Sorry about the smoke. Just casually making some pretzels over here. So I'm gonna do half and half all-purpose and whole wheat. This is a really high quality, finely milled whole wheat flour. So I'm gonna add 137 grams of this. If I were making this with more of like a average grocery store whole wheat flour, I'd probably sift it because that whole wheat generally has really large pieces of the bran still in it, and that it can like make things kind of feel tough and a little gritty. But this is super finely milled, so I don't have that problem. Salt, I'm gonna add a teaspoon of kosher. This is diamond. And the baking powder is gonna give some lift to the cookie to lighten it. So that's my dry. I wanna whisk this together. And now I'm gonna measure out my sugar. So I'm gonna do 2/3 of a cup of white sugar. In the original recipe for the graham cracker, it calls for brown, but I don't wanna introduce that molassesy flavor. I don't think it needs it. The whole wheat flour is kind of taking care of that for me. Okay. 1 minute left. I'm gonna grab some ice to cool down the eggs. Oh no, one of the eggs cracked a little bit. That's the one I'll use for the yolk. So I'm gonna let those cool off. I'm not adding any cinnamon, no spice. I wanna keep the cookie flavor somewhat neutral besides that whole wheat. It's really gonna be more about texture. Plus there will be some caramelization that happens in the oven. So that'll I think it'll be a nice sort of subtle cookie. So I'm just cutting this into like 2 tablespoon sized pieces. And I'm gonna throw this bowl in the microwave on low power for like 10 seconds at a time. And that's gonna just get that butter just softened to the point where I can successfully cream the butter and sugar together. Oh, I sort of overdid it a little. When you're creaming butter and sugar, you want the butter not to look like this piece, where it's like shiny, but this piece is good. Like this piece is cool room temp. So when I touch it, it's cool to the touch, and I have to actually apply a little force to indent it, but it'll smooth out. I'm gonna grab a sieve for my yolk. This is a little bit on the fine side, but that should be all right. Okay, so I'm gonna crack my egg. I'm gonna use the one that burst open a little bit in the saucepan. I'll save the other eggs for lunch. So the idea is that you want a yolk that's pretty dry all the way through. And this is a little hot. I'm gonna let it just cool here, and I'll incorporate that in a little bit. I'm gonna grab my hand mixer. I wanna cream this together well because creaming butter and sugar together incorporates air. The sugar crystals cut into the butter and create air pockets, and that's gonna help leaven the cookie or like lift it or lighten it. So I'm gonna get the speed all the way up. And I wanna just beat this until it's really pale and fluffy. A couple minutes. I've been creaming this together for a few minutes. I'm gonna incorporate my egg. I'm gonna grab a spoon. I wish this sieve were a little less fine, but I'm just gonna go with it. I think in the past when I've done this technique, I've incorporated the sieved yolk into the dry ingredients, but here I'm just gonna do it directly to the butter. And I'm using the spoon to press. You can see the little like mealy bits coming out. The idea here is you're adding fat in the form of the yolk, and that's gonna increase tenderness. But more than anything, what you're doing is you're adding tiny particles to the dough, and the particles are going to inhibit gluten formation. You're gonna literally kind of get in the way physically of gluten strands forming, and that just makes this really, really tender texture. So it does have that sandiness. So I really wanna get the tenderness into the cookie like the original. So the egg yolk's incorporated. I just wanna quickly mix this in. I'm gonna also add some vanilla, maybe a teaspoon or 2, and incorporate this. I'm gonna add my dry. It's a relatively high proportion of dry ingredients to butter, so it's gonna make a pretty workable dough. So definitely the color is gonna be different. The color of my cookie is gonna be much more brown because of that whole wheat flour.
Might match the box.
Yeah, it probably will more closely match the box. It really a surprisingly crumbly dough. Okay, so I have these kind of like nice big wet crumbs. You can see that it holds together. This is actually really good because it's gonna help me move more quickly to roll this out. So I'm gonna be able to roll this out room temp between 2 pieces of parchment paper and then chill briefly in the freezer and then cut and bake. Now, the thickness of the cookie was 1/2 centimeter, but I have to account for 2 things. I have to account for the cookies puffing up in the oven, but also losing moisture. So it'll be a little bit of an experiment to see the kind of relative puffing versus shrinkage. And one thing I'm very conscious of as far as baking goes is how the diameter is going to shrink. Anytime I'm rolling between pieces of parchment, and I don't really need to add flour because it's not sticking to the parchment, you don't want that wrinkling that happens when you like spread something out between two sheets. I didn't really address the question of how many of these am I trying to make. I think I'd be happy if I made like a dozen Mallomars. This I'll definitely get more than 12 cookies out of. This motion is to help me feel if the thickness is even. And I think it is. It's really easy when you're rolling between parchment to like get it a little uneven, especially around the edges. It's a tiny bit over a ½ centimeter. It's like it's 6 millimeters. But I think basically between moisture loss and puffing, I think if I started it at a ½ centimeter thickness, I might end up with something ½ centimeter baked. Just as an experiment, I'm gonna maybe cut out a half a dozen cookies, bake them, and see what happens. 1, it could be great. 2, they could really lose their shape because they haven't been chilled. 3, there could be a lot of shrinking because this has been worked quite a bit and the dough hasn't had a chance to relax. But I just wanna do a test to see what the texture is like before I like cut them all out and bake them all at the same time. Ring cutters, by the way, just a very helpful thing to have at home if you're an avid baker. This one is 5 centimeters. And this is to account for some like contracting and shrinking that happens in the oven. So I've been told by Callanmans that I should just try also the 4 centimeter size and see what happens. So I'll cut out a few cookies of each size just as a test. Feel good about this. Pretty sure they're gonna hold their shape and also they'll bake quickly. I'm gonna put my test batch in at 350. They'll bake quickly, maybe 10 minutes or less. So I'll check them after 8. All right. And I'm keeping this covered so it doesn't dry out.
Camera. Cuts.
The 8-minute timer went off. I'm looking for very light golden browning. Yeah, it's like a little golden brown around the edges. Let's see if this is baked enough. I see the whole wheat. Also, it held its shape really, really well. One thing I want to do is hold it up to the cutter. So placing the 4 on the 4 cutout, to do the opposite of what I thought it might do, which is it spread a little bit rather than shrank. Can I just punch out? With the 4. It doesn't give you as nice of a finished edge. But actually, like, that doesn't look bad. You can't see right now, this cat is wrapped his front paws around my leg and is biting me. Stop it. Go play somewhere else. Ooh, it's really good. The trick is gonna be doing them all when they're hot so that I get something that doesn't break apart. So there's the inside of the cookie. I think it looks pretty good. Add a little over a ½ centimeter in the thickest part of the cookie because it's ever so slightly thicker in the center. I think it's gonna be much, much easier for me to punch out cookies with the 4 from a baked 4 centimeter cookie. This was my other idea, I'll show you. I was like, oh, if I need to adjust the size, I can basically, well, this is actually kind of easy. I made a mark with the cutter as a guide. The shaving is good in one sense, which is that you get a slightly more finished looking edge, but it's challenging to get it really round. So it actually looks quite nice compared to the punch. I mean, but they're so similar. Which one do you think looks better?
The one in your left hand.
This one. You think this one looks better?
Looks
okay.
better.
So you know what? I'm gonna do a second test batch. Cut out more 4 centimeter cookies, bake them at a lower temp, this time 300 for longer to really dry them out for 12 minutes. Punch them out when they come out. They spread maybe slightly more, but very similar. So I'm gonna let these cool. The bottoms look more done, which is good. I think that the amount of spread works in my favor because when I punch them out, it means that the cookie that I end up with is nice and flat. I think the texture looks good, still a little on the thicker side. Part of it is that I started punching from the edge, which is always gonna be a little bit thinner. So I think I will roll this out a little bit thinner. I'll also have to keep in mind that if I end up baking a larger quantity, that's gonna mean more volume of a room temperature thing going into the oven, which means more of an oven temperature drop, which might mean I need to bake them longer. Maybe by like a minute or 30 seconds or something. I'm gonna go ahead and actually punch out the rest of my circles and I can bake them on this piece of parchment and I can use this sheet tray. I'm not too worried about misshaping them. I mean, they're easy to handle. but I'm not worried about misshaping them anyway because they're just gonna get punched out again. Part of the question might be like, well, why not just bake it as a slab and punch out that way? But it bakes much, much differently as a slab, and you get so much less evaporation. More punch out, there's more surface area, and so I just know that the bake is gonna be more even. I'm gonna get them into the oven, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to bake them for even longer because there's so many more cookies on the sheet, but my oven's at 300, so I'll just keep an eye on them as they bake. Ready? This batch actually took upwards of 20 minutes because the principle I was describing, like you put more in the oven, the temp drops, it takes longer. So I'm gonna pull them out. They are done now. They've baked really evenly and all over golden brown, but because they are drier, because they've been in longer at that lower temp, I wanna punch out quickly. And actually, do you see how these have spread less? I think that's just because they started at such a low temp. They're a little thinner, very flat. I can cross cookie off my list. These are gonna cool. Now I'm gonna turn to the marshmallow. The last time I made it was I made marshmallow fluff in our oatmeal cream pie, Little Debbie oatmeal cream pie episode, which was really fun. And that was a mix of egg white. No, Archie, no cat. No, no, come on. Cal, do you mind, can you put him on the floor?
He doesn't like me.
Doesn't like me either. Come here. You're not helping us. You're not helping us. Go away. This is how we discipline our cats. You're so cute. Hey, Archie, can you get down? Archie, thank you. Okay, thank you, Cal. The marshmallow fluff recipe that I did for oatmeal cream pie, I put a little bit of gelatin in it, but really that recipe was for like a marshmallow spread, but I liked the combination of egg white and corn syrup in it. And I remember thinking like it whipped really nicely. So I think I'm gonna go back to that version and add a lot of gelatin. The gelatin is what is going to give it that solid, at room temp, bounciness that you need. It stabilizes the whole mixture. I'm gonna grab my gelatin because I need to soften it. So I have powdered gelatin. And then I'm gonna grab the other ingredients that I need for marshmallow: sugar, egg white, some cream of tartar, corn syrup, vanilla. Vanilla is gonna be important. I'm gonna add vanilla paste because there is no flavor profile to marshmallows without adding some type of extract or other flavoring. And so in this case, it's just gonna be vanilla. If I'm using a tablespoon of gelatin, I need to soften it in at least a quarter cup of water. So I'm gonna actually make a little ice water. You sprinkle the gelatin over the water, and the key here is not to stir, because it will get really clumpy, but you wanna distribute the granules evenly. Basically, those granules of gelatin are going to hydrate and swell and soften, and that's gonna make it much easier for them to melt into that sugar mixture. So I'm gonna set this aside. I need 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar, which is 150 grams. Then I need 3 egg whites, which are gonna go into my mixer bowl. I'm gonna spray it with vinegar and wipe it out. You just wanna make sure that your bowl is really free of grease. So the vinegar cleans it, but it's also like gives a little residue of acid, which is good. And also cream of tartar is an acid, and that helps to stabilize the egg white. So I'm gonna add the cream of tartar at some point. Okay. I'll do something with those later. Felix, please stop. Felix. Hold on, so first I'll do 1/3 of a cup of water, which is gonna go with...
Look,
Yeah, kitty.
take a hike, buddy.
The 1/3 of a cup of water is gonna go into my saucepan with the sugar to make that syrup. Then I'm gonna use it to measure my corn syrup. So I'm gonna get my heat going. This is my sugar and water. I'm gonna add my corn syrup. And this is where the dance happens. So you have your sugar syrup cooking. I have my gelatin softening. And I'm about to have my egg whites whipping. And we wanna combine all of them. So it's kind of a lot. Fortunately, I have this really advanced induction cooktop where I can be really precise about temperature, which is kind of awesome. I wanna cook the sugar syrup to 240. So I'm gonna start bringing this temperature up, and I'm gonna start cooking it at a higher temp, probably more like 280. And then as it's getting closer to that, as it's climbing and kind of surpassing the 230 mark, I'm gonna drop the temp and set it to 240. And then it's never gonna go above that. I'm going to very gently stir this mixture. What I don't want is for this to crystallize, but there's a lot of corn syrup in here which prevents the crystallization, so I'm not actually very worried. Just wanna get that sugar dissolving. So this will quickly come up to a boil. See how gently I'm stirring. So this is giving me a temperature read of around 220. I'm gonna add my cream of tartar to the egg whites, like a pinch. I'm also gonna add a big pinch of salt to the egg whites. Also helps to stabilize. The vanilla paste is gonna go in actually at the end, after I've whipped up that marshmallow mixture. So I'm just hovering around 230. I'm gonna start to whip my egg whites. I can't really make a quantity smaller than this. Otherwise the egg whites wouldn't really whip because there wouldn't be enough volume and I wouldn't have really much depth in the saucepan for the sugar syrup. So these quantities make sense to me. So I'm gonna start whipping this on kind of medium-low. A really important thing is that I want my egg whites to be foamy, at least foamy, but somewhere between foamy and soft peaks before I start to add the sugar syrup. Otherwise they won't really incorporate air. And as soon as this reaches 240, I'm gonna turn the induction off and stir in my gelatin to dissolve it. I wanna make sure that the gelatin is actually really fully melted, so like no granules. My egg whites are in a good place. Time to stream this in. So I'm trying to aim for the side of the bowl right where the egg white meets the bowl. I don't wanna hit the wires of the whisk because it's gonna whip it around the bowl. So this mixture needs to whip. I need to incorporate a lot of air and it's gonna get really, really thick and the bowl is still warm. So I want it to cool down and then I'll add the vanilla. Okay, so the bowl is feeling, it's not quite cool to the touch, but I can tell that it's thickened quite a bit. I'm gonna add my vanilla. And you don't really wanna introduce a lot of liquid at this stage. So I'll put in maybe a couple teaspoons. And it's a tiny bit, like my body temp is 98.6. So if it feels even the same as my body temp, it's too hot. So, sorry, more whipping. After a really intense amount of mixing, I still have a pretty droopy, like look at that. I was going for stiff peaks. And I have a marshmallow mixture that would be great for fluff, great for oatmeal cream pie. I think I'm identifying a few reasons. I was just cross-referencing with other recipes. Some recipes give a higher temp for the sugar syrup, more like 245, so that's one thing. Another thing is I don't think I had enough liquid for dissolving that quantity of gelatin. And third, I think I could still have put in more gelatin, which now I'm worried if I even have enough gelatin. I don't think this is gonna get any thicker. I think I need to do this again, maybe cook it hotter, more water with the gelatin, more gelatin overall, and just repeat that process. So one thing I'm doing differently is I'm gonna cook this to 245. And also, I'm going to pour it into the egg whites without the gelatin. Now this goes into my eggs. I looked up a recipe just as a reference that I've made before, which is a David Leibowitz recipe on his site. And he has you pour the syrup into the egg whites and then in the same saucepan, melt the gelatin because maybe the sugar syrup drops in temp too much with that volume of gelatin added. Now I'm gonna pour this in. I feel better about this batch. Now I have to let it go though. It's getting there. I feel better. I'm gonna add the vanilla now. I haven't been whipping it nearly as long as I whipped the first batch, so this needs a little more time. I'll give this another couple minutes. It's at 80. It's not a firm peak, but it's kind of a medium peak. I'm okay with that. So I turned the cookies over because I had a thought while this was whipping that I'm much better off putting the marshmallow on the bottom of the cookie where it's much more rough in terms of the surface texture and leaving the smoother side, the top, as the bottom. So I'm gonna get my marshmallow into my piping bag. I have a round tip on the piping bag. Marshmallow is super sticky, so I'm careful to try and not get it all over the bag. I'm gonna practice a little on the surface.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah, it looks good. How do you feel about it?
I'm pretty happy with these. I think I'm making them a little tall, so I'm gonna try to go for a slightly thinner layer on the rest, but this is a nice piping texture. So they piped in a way that they really evened out, and I have that little peak. So the next thing I wanna do is just try to smooth the surface a little bit to get it more flat. And I wanna see if I can do this with my offset spatula. It depends on how much they've set. But let's just see if I can smooth it without messing up the texture too much. I'm okay with that. And I think the key is like not actually fussing with each one too much and starting with a clean spatula. It's getting harder, which is actually a good thing because it means the marshmallow is setting. So I feel good about that. I'm happy with it. Chocolate time. This is some dark chocolate I have that has been obviously not properly stored because look at it.
Yum.
But it's totally fine. Harrison and I have been eating it. It has all this bloom, which is like fat migration to the surface. We can fix it by tempering it. I was gonna do it in a water bath for heat transfer with the bowl touching the water. See how this bowl fits in there and it's touching the water versus just doing it directly in the saucepan. This feels safer. So let's try it. What you really, really do not want, however, is any water to get in the bowl, so you have to be careful. But I'm gonna start by heating this up without the chocolate on it. So the keys to chocolate tempering are not just temperature control, but also lots of agitation. And the seed helps to encourage the crystallization that needs to happen for the chocolate to temper. You know, when you melt chocolate and you let it harden, it never really fully hardens. The second you touch it, it starts to melt. It never gets a shine back, and it doesn't have any of that snap. And the snap is what I'm going for. The seed method, it means you're adding some unmelted chocolate to the melted chocolate mixture. It creates a kind of a chain reaction the same way that like an undissolved sugar crystal in your saucepan when you're making caramel can cause a chain reaction. And I'm chopping it really finely because one thing I've also learned from tempering is because the temperatures are low, if your seed chocolate is too large, the pieces, it won't really fully melt, and then you're trying to enrobe with chocolate with pieces in it. It's annoying. Okay, I think it's fine enough. It's so fine that the little particles get on your fingers and melt. I'm gonna set this off to the side. I'm gonna grab a little bit of ice. I'm not gonna need a lot because it's not a big temperature drop that I'm going for. I brought this melted chocolate mixture to 116. And I have to be careful because I don't want to drop the temp too much. But I want it to go down to high 80s or around 90 and add my seed chocolate. So this is going to go in. And now I want to stir this through and I want it to melt. And this is just going to slowly come down in temperature as the seed chocolate melts. I might add just like a smidge more of this cool water and see where we are with the water temp. I have the induction set to 90. Water's at 91. Okay, great. So now make sure to dry off my thermometer really well before I stick it in the chocolate because water and tempering is really bad. And I've been agitating it this whole time. The seed chocolate is melted. It's like sticky, it's sticking to the bowl. It just seems like it's tempered. All right, it says it's at 90. Let's do a quick test to see if it's in temper. Basically, I'm gonna just put some on this spatula. It's already hardening. All right, I feel pretty confident about this. I have a big fork here, which I'm gonna treat like a dipping fork, one at a time, a Mallomar. Oh, look at my fingers sticking to the marshmallow. The marshmallow set is really nice. I'm gonna grab a spoon and I'm going to spoon it over. All right, and I'm just gonna go until I sort of like don't have any more chocolate to work with. My plan for the bottom is to just dab some chocolate on the parchment and then place it and like press it down onto that. Oh, I'm gonna make a huge mess, I can just tell. There's some excess chocolate, obviously, so I'm gonna have to maybe make some adjustments, but I'm gonna go with it.
Knew that was gonna happen.
I was waiting for that to happen.
But now I don't have to do the bottom. Maybe this is great. Okay, new plan. Dip the bottom, cover the top. Not bad, guys. Lift from the fork, enrobe from the top, and just repeat. And do lots of tapping without it falling off. They have gone matte really quickly, and that shows me that the chocolate is tempered. Like I could pick one up and it wouldn't melt in my hands. This method of keeping the chocolate over a kind of exactly 90-degree water bath has been great. I want to pick this one up and just feel it for a second because this is at room temp. It just hardened on its own. That's the whole point. The question is there a snap? And the answer is yes. Yes. It snapped apart. It looks pretty good. The one thing that I wish was a little bit different was the marshmallow is still a little soft, but that's also because the marshmallow hasn't had time for the gelatin to fully set. So I think I am gonna pop these in the fridge. It's not for the chocolate, which has basically already hardened on all of them, but it's for the marshmallow and for the gelatin in there. It's really interesting. So the earlier ones that I enrobed have a little bit more of the streakiness than some of the later ones. I'm gonna get them onto the plate and maybe some onto the cutting board. I have some little bits to break off of some of the sides. They feel nice and light. I'm happy to see full coverage on the bottoms. Here's look I made Mallomars. Mine, theirs. Let's start with a weight. Original was 13 grams, 16. The extra weight, I think, is the cookie and also maybe just a slightly thicker layer of chocolate. Thickness wise, it's pretty good. This one is even like a tiny bit shorter. Obviously mine are not quite as dark. This is not like 100% chocolate product. This is, and I use dark chocolate. So mine are like a little more on the brown side. This is the kind of thing where actually, if this came out of a package, I wouldn't think twice. There's something about it that's homemade, but it's like, this could come off a conveyor belt somewhere. In terms of diameter, 4 centimeters, at least by the cookie. The marshmallow is a little bit less. It's more like 3.7. Oh my God, it looks so good. Amazing snap from the chocolate. I thought the chocolate layer was gonna be noticeably thicker. It's not at all. And even on the bottom of mine, where I thought it could be thicker, it's so even. So similar, except for the cookie, which I think mine looks more like the box. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
And I could tell as I cut through it, is the cookie has a lot more substance to it, more texture. I think even just that brief chill, I mean, it was probably less than 10 minutes in the fridge, really helped the marshmallow set. It didn't really stick to the knife, and it's holding its shape. Oh, great chocolate snap. The cookie has that perfect sablé texture where it's very tender and melts in your mouth, but it has a lot more character than that cookie, which reads more dry, crumbly, but still has a bounciness like the original.
Wow, you really nailed the marshmallow.
Thanks.
Is there a layer of caramel or something?
No.
Wow.
Oh, Archie.
Whoa. The biggest difference is the graham cracker is like crispy and crunchy.
Yeah. But
The marshmallow is softer.
hold on, can we get this cat out of here?
You're so cute though. That was so good.
I feel so positive about this episode, and I'm glad that the process matched my enjoyment of the original, because I really do like Mallomars, and I'm even more into my version. So we're gonna wrap this up, have some dinner, have some Mallomars for dessert, and thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.